So there's plenty of blame to go around about what happened in the Patriots game this past Sunday and where the Browns are at right now as a whole. But I wanted to talk about this because everybody gets blame here. Nothing or very little went right Sunday. I guess the two things that you could say went right Sunday was, hey, Jamie Gillen, pretty good job. You punted a lot, and I think just about every time was pretty good. And Dearness Johnson, when we gave him the opportunity, he was very good rushing the football, which he always is. So that's the two good takeaways. That's it. But as far as the blame, everybody's to blame here. So I wanted to break this down and kind of share my thoughts. So let's start with the defense first, because I've been talking about Joe Woods for a while now. And before the Bears game, I said that Joe Woods was holding this Browns team back because the defense was not playing up nearly to their potential. And after the Bears game, people wanted to criticize me and say, see, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. Look at how good they played. First of all, I've never said that I'm 100% right. I've always said you don't have to agree with me. This is just my opinion and how I'm seeing things. So I'm not claiming to be an expert. I'm far from that. But I think that what happened in that Bears game proved me right because he switched things up. He started playing man more, started blitzing more, getting creative, the stuff that I said needed to be done. Now, for whatever reason, Joe Woods just so hard-headed that he cannot play to the success of the players he has. I mean, normally you would play towards your guys' strengths, but he's so hard-headed that he wants to play his defense. So, Joe Woods Sunday, this is the biggest problem. Third down efficiency. The New England Patriots were 7 of 9 on third down. The Browns cannot get off the field on third down. They just can't. And it's unbelievable to me because first and second down, we play fine defensively. I think actually I would say we play pretty good. But for whatever reason, when it gets to third down, and it doesn't matter if it's 3rd and 7, 3rd and 20, 3rd and 1, it's the same defense every time. It's that dime, soft zone, just no aggressiveness, and it seems like it's every game with this. And I just do not understand how a defense with this much talent can be playing this poorly. And I love how people are on Twitter saying John Johnson sucks and, this guy sucks, Denzel Ward sucks. It's not those guys. It's not the players. It's the guy who's calling the plays in the scheme. You can have an all-star defense, best defensive player at every position. And if you're playing stupidly when it comes to scheming and play calling and game plan, it doesn't matter. And that's what you're seeing right now. The Browns have a great defensive talent. And everybody, just about every position, the Browns are very good defensively. But these guys clearly have no clue what they're doing because the system is so flawed. And you see Myles Garrett and John Johnson come out and openly criticize the defense and the lack of adjustments. People get upset at them for that, but they're right. And this has probably been boiling over to the point now where these guys feel they have to go public because nothing has been changed. My guess is that they've talked about this behind the scenes a lot and nothing's changed. So you can get mad at the players for doing that, but at the end of the day, it's coaching. You're still not changing. You're not willing to put your guys in a better situation. So, again, it's not the talent. It's the scheme. These guys don't suck before they come to Cleveland. John Johnson was a top safety for the LA Rams. And he comes to Cleveland and he looks like Andrew Sandejo. It's not the players. Last year you could use that excuse because a lot of the guys we had sucked. You can't use that excuse. These guys don't know what they're doing. And my friend Cam Chasen, is his Instagram is Cam Chasen. His name's Cam. But he posts a lot of videos and stuff breaking down. He's a big film junkie. And he pulled it up, and I couldn't believe it. The linebackers were horrible. They looked like they had no clue what they were doing. Like they looked like if you pulled a random fan out of the audience and put them on the field. I mean, they just had no clue. And it's coaching. Again, the Browns are not complete at every position. That's not what I'm saying. But there's a reason why you see teams who aren't that great talent-wise still have good defenses, because they know what they're doing. If the Browns right now, and I know Greg Williams, terrible person, whatever, but if this was his defense that he was playing, I guarantee you this team would be top 5 defensively, probably top 3, because the talent the Browns have is not being used to their full potential. So I blame, 45 points. The Patriots scored 45 unanswered points, and they scored 17 points in the second quarter. Unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. Mack Jones looked like Tom Brady, the second coming of Tom Brady. He was 19 of 23, 198 yards, 3 touchdowns, QBR of 83.9. And it's one thing if Mack Jones is a great player, because I think he is. But you let Brian Hoyer come in the game, 3 for 3, 85 yards. Brian Hoyer had more passing yards than Baker Mayfield. Okay? And it's really not an issue of the guy you're playing against being that talented. They're opening things up to make it easy. Like, Mack Jones made some big boy elite NFL throws Sunday. But it's not that he's got the best arm or he's the most accurate. He's smart, and he knows how horrible the Browns' defense is. So when you give him this stuff, he's going to take it. And that's what you saw Sunday against the Patriots. So defensively, Joe Woods needs to be fired. He's horrible. And, that's all you can say. It's embarrassing. Let's get to the offense here. Case Keenum went 8 for 12, 81 yards. And he had a better day than Baker Mayfield. Baker was 11 of 21, 73 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was horrible, okay? And it's hard because I put a lot of blame on Kevin Stefanski and a lot of blame on the game plan and the offensive play calling. But Baker Mayfield, regardless of the injuries, played terrible. The difference between Mack Jones and Baker Mayfield is Baker has a better arm. He's got a stronger arm, and he's more accurate when he's at his best. But mentally, Mack Jones is so far ahead of Baker Mayfield that it's not even comparable. And it's laughable how you can have a guy who's the number 1 overall pick, and you have Mack Jones who slips to 12, something like that, to the Patriots. And mentally, they are so different when it comes to reading defenses, knowing where the ball is supposed to be. Baker Mayfield, from the on-field standpoint, is horrible mentally. Horrible. And it's bad. And I know we've had this discussion on Baker, but again, I would sit him. I think this year's a wash, and I know people will say that's a typical Browns attitude, but your only chance right now of getting to the playoffs is winning the division. And yes, technically the division is wide open, but if you think that the Browns are going to sweep the Ravens, I strongly disagree. Obviously, I'm rooting for that, but I see no way that happens. And even the Bengals again. I mean, Joe Woods, and I don't mean to keep going back to the defense, but, I mean, depending on how Joe Woods wakes up and feels that day, if he's going to be aggressive or not, depends on how the game goes. I mean, the Detroit Lions can score on this defense if you leave things that wide open. I mean, it's embarrassing. But yeah, and Ramondre Stevenson is a guy who I've always liked, but we made him look like Derrick Henry. I mean, I watched him coming out of Oklahoma. He didn't look that dominant, but against this Browns weak-ass defense, Joe Woods' defense, this is what happened. So, anyway, back to the offense. Baker was terrible. And again, the decision-making is what I'm kind of focusing on here, because I'm a big eye test guy. I look at the stats, and yeah, you can say, hey, Mack Jones dominated 19 of 23, 3 touchdowns, but it was more of what you saw. Perfect timing, perfect ball placement, knowing where to, go with the football, making the right decisions. Baker's stats are terrible, yes, But the game film and, the eye test is what makes it worse because I can't make sense of it. I come on here and I defend Baker all the time. I have no clue what he was doing. That pick, I can't explain it. What is he not seeing over the line? Like, I know people talk about that. It might be a real thing. I'm starting to believe it. And Kevin Stefanski needs to be criticized more than he is because this offense is not sustainable. Either Kevin Stefanski just does not believe in Baker Mayfield, or he is so hard-headed that this is the offense he's going to run. Because Dearness Johnson led the team in receiving. 7 receptions, 58 yards. 8 targets. Jarvis Landry was behind him at 4 receptions, 26 yards. Austin Hooper was behind him, then Harrison Bryant, and then Donovan Peoples-Jones. So a running back is your highest targeted receiver. Behind that is Jarvis Landry, Austin Hooper, Harrison Bryant. So your top 4 targeted players are a running back and 2 tight ends and 1 receiver. That's your pass game. And that's not sustainable. So I'm not saying fire Kevin Stefanski, but if he's not willing to change his offense, something needs to be done. The front office either needs to call down and say, hey, we don't want you to call plays anymore. We want you to be involved in the game plan, but you can't call plays. I mean, that's where I'm at right now. I want Kevin Stefanski to be the head coach. I believe that Kevin Stefanski is the right guy. But if he's not willing to evolve and change this offense, the Browns have major problems because it doesn't matter who's under center. If they're not willing to pass, you cannot sustain this offense long-term in the NFL. Your passing game can't be to tight ends only. I mean, it's great to run the football and get your tight ends involved, but you have to have some sort of pass game. You have to. So, yeah, Baker, terrible. The defense, terrible. Kevin Stefanski, as a whole, I think has major problems. And I think he's got a much bigger ego than Browns fans want to admit because we've seen so many of these head coaches come in and out. And I think Stefanski's different from the standpoint of you don't necessarily see it openly. But I think behind the scenes, the decision-making, the game plan stuff, play calling, it's all so hard-headed. I mean, the first drive, Dearness Johnson is just gashing the Patriots. Marched right down the field, and Njoku dropped an easy touchdown pass. Well, he caught it and then lazily didn't bring it in, but regardless. So, yeah, this offense is not sustainable. So, when you look at what the Browns need to do, there's a lot of hard decisions to make going forward. Quarterback is obviously number one, but I think if I were running things, if I was the decision maker here, fire Joe Woods, number one. Bring in a coordinator who's going to play heavy man as far as coverage, and get somebody who's aggressive but smart. That's what this defense needs, because if the defense had that, they would be, like I said, top 5, top 3, whatever. Then, if Kevin Stefanski's not willing to evolve, you got to take away play calling from him. And he's not going to like it, but it's something that has to be done, because like I said, it's not sustainable long term. And then at quarterback, listen, I don't think you can really get a fair evaluation of Baker this year. And I think the organization will give him one more year. But it's got to be better. I don't know if you need to bring in another quarterback who's more capable than Case Keenum to push Baker. I don't care. But we have to get better play out of the quarterback position. Because Mack Jones, as I said, somebody who's not as gifted as Baker when it comes to arm strength, arm talent, completely outdueled him. And it wasn't even close. So, the Browns got a lot of decisions to make. And as far as quarterback going forward, Tony Rizzo on ESPN Cleveland said it perfectly. So many Browns fans are actively rooting against Baker Mayfield. And you call yourself a Browns fan. And it just can't be, because the risk is so big here, because what if he doesn't work out? I think the Browns need to make a decision, and I think it probably won't come till next year. But if at the end of this season they've determined Baker's not the guy, either they need to be aggressive and trade up in the draft and get your guy, or they need to be willing to throw a lot of money at an Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson as far as trade or free agency. Because you can't bring in Teddy Bridgewaters, and you can't bring in, the Cody Kesslers, Brandon Whedons, Deshaun Kaisers. You can't go that route again, or we're just going to be setting ourselves back, and this window and this talent we've got will be completely wasted. So, yeah, there's a lot of tough decisions to make, and it's not like the Patriots have crazy good receivers. Bourne, Myers, Bolden, Hunter Henry was fourth. But you look at the Browns, and we're passing to running backs and tight ends. You got to have a passing game. So, I don't know. With that being said, let me know your thoughts. This didn't go as long as I was thinking it would, surprisingly. But I just wanted to talk about this because I think there's plenty of blame to go around. So, with that being said, let me know your thoughts. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoy this. But again, like I said, let me know your thoughts. I always read and respond to comments. So, we'll see you in the next one. Bye.